What's going on, guys? Welcome to your 5th Java game applet tutorial, where we're going to learn a little bit more about motion and graphics of our current applet that we have going on here. So the first thing I want you guys to do is just kind of get caught up with me. I'm going to change my dx to be like 2 and my dy to be 0. So our ball is only going to be moving in the horizontal direction, which is going to be going to the right. And then we're going to go down to our run method of our thread. And what we're going to do is we're going to give our ball some rules, because right now he's like, oh yeah, I'm just going to go down and to the right forever. It's going to be awesome. And I'm just going to keep going. I don't really care what's going on with anything else in this applet. I'm just going to go forever. And we want our ball to actually realize that, you know, there are some rules in life and there's some rules within our applet as well. So we want to confine our ball to the borders that we give it, or the width of our applet and the height of our applet. So the first thing that we need to do is check if our ball is going off the screen to the right side. So I'm just going to run this again and show you guys what's kind of happening. As you can see, our ball just goes on forever. He's like, I'm out of here. Have fun with your applet borders, suckers. So we're going to kind of constrain his ability to go right if he is already at the border. So how we're going to do this is with the if statement. So we're just going to say if x plus dx. Again, that's what we're doing to update basically our ball here. We're just moving our x position plus whatever the change in x is. So we're going to say if that value is greater than the width of our applet, and we're going to say greater than the width of our applet, and how we do that again is this, and then we're going to say get size and then dot width, or you can just use a method get width. So I'm just going to use that method, and that gets the width of our applet, which again is 800. Now we're going to make some adjustments here in a second to this line of code, but I kind of want to show you guys the adjustments as we go. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to say if that's the case, all we're going to do is we're going to say our x is equal to whatever the width of our applet is. So we're going to say x is this dot get width. So instead of saying x plus dx, we're going to just set x to be the width of our applet. And again, that's only going to happen if our x plus our dx is greater than the width of our applet. And then we're going to throw in an else statement. So basically, if x plus dx is less than the width of our applet, we're just going to say x plus equal dx. So again, our same update method here, and now we're going to delete this one, and let's save this, run it, and I'll show you guys what we have going on now. So again, our ball's going to the right, and then it's like, oh, I'm stopping. What's happening? I just want to keep going right. What's up with this? And also, as you notice, we have our ball cut off halfway, because again, when we draw our ball or fill our oval within our paint method, we paint it around the center of our ball. Again, that's why we had, our x position minus the radius, and our y position minus the radius, and then the width is the radius times 2. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have our ball actually stop at the border, and so all we're going to say is if our x plus our dx is greater than our width, which is 800, minus our radius, again the radius of the ball, then we're going to set our x position to this, the width of our applet, minus again the radius of our ball. So that should look a little bit better, but we'll still have one last problem. I'll show you guys that here quickly. And you can't really notice it, but there is one pixel that's being cut off. Basically what we're saying is 800 here, again the width of our applet, minus our radius 20. So if x plus dx is greater than 780, we are going to just set our x position to be 780. But again, even though the width is 800 pixels, when we draw to the canvas or draw to our applet, it starts at pixel 0. So it'll be 0, 1, 2, 3. So in all actuality, what we want to do, instead of having this be equal to 780, we want this to be 779, because again, we start at 0, not at 1. So all we're going to do is we're going to subtract 1 pixel as well from where we're setting our x position to be equal to. And that's kind of a weird thing to think about. I mean, at first when you get into programming, because again, computers count from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that would be 6 numbers actually. Whereas if you're a human, you count 6 numbers, you're going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 instead of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know if that makes much sense, but all we're doing is we're subtracting 1 pixel, so we have it painted in the right position, and if we run this again, we should get that problem fixed. So as you can see, now it's stopping perfectly, whereas before we kind of had a cutoff of 1 pixel. So there we go. We have our X position pretty much set up. The other thing that we want to do is we want to have it kind of bounce off of our wall. So all we're going to do is we're going to set our dx, again that's the change in our X position, to be equal to a negative dx. So now instead of our dx being 2, it's going to be negative 2. And the next time it loops through, it's going to be like, hey, 779 plus a negative 2 is going to be less than our our width, and we're going to get this statement. So let's just see that, run it. So as you can see, it kind of bounces off the wall. I just thought I'd show examples of this step by step, because again, graphics, if you guys are new to programming, kind of tricky, but there we go. We have that problem solved. Now what we have to figure out is bouncing off the left side, because our ball's like, dang it, I can't go right anymore. I'm just going to go left forever now. That's a good idea. And so we need to have it bounce off our left border here. So let's do that quickly. So what we're going to do to fix that problem is throw another if statement in here real quickly. And we're going to say if x plus dx is less than 0 plus our radius, because again we have to factor in our radius, otherwise we'll get kind of a half circle cut off there. And then what we're going to say is, if that's the case, our x is going to be equal to 0 plus our radius, and our dx is again going to switch to bounce off the left side of the wall. And then let's change our dx so it's a little bit quicker, from 2 to 4, so it's going to be twice as fast, and save it and run it. Make sure this works. As you can see, our ball bounces off the left side, then it comes over here and bounces off the right side, then the left side, and so forth. So that's kind of how we control our boundaries. And again, we aren't subtracting 1, for those of you that are curious, from this right here, because again 0 is the same as our starting position. So 0 plus the radius is going to paint our ball perfectly to be touching the left side border without cutting off any pixels. Oh, and I just noticed quickly also, right here we want to change this to be a negative 1 as well, to adjust for that 1 pixel that I showed you guys here. Now that we have everything set up for our X direction, we want to change our Y direction as well when it hits the the top of the applet and the bottom. So I'm just going to copy those lines of code and paste it, and change our X to be Y, and our D X to be DY, and our get width to be get height. Pretty much the same concept there. And again, for our height, we want to subtract 1 pixel as well, because even though our height is 400, it starts at 0, so it's going to be 0 through 99. And then we want to subtract the radius so it kind of looks right. And so again, we just want to change all of these values to match up. So our X is going to become Y's, and our DY's are going to become, our DX's are going to become DY's. And it should pretty much be, and then we're just going to delete this line of code here. And one last thing I forgot to do is just throw in an else if instead of a if. We're going to have else if there instead. So it's going to be checking for one or the other. But anyways, so now when we run our application, let's change our dy. Let's change our dy value to be, like 3 or 2 or something like that. So let's save it and run it. And as you can see, we get something like this. Our ball is now confined to the size of our applet. And he's like, dang it, man, I can't go forever. This sucks. And, it doesn't matter because he is happy to be part of our applet now. And that's kind of how the graphics work. I know it might be kind of confusing at first, but if you guys are confused, just look over the code, kind of figure out, the process of what we've done, and just look it over. Again, the kind of confusing concepts are those -1s for when we're dealing with our bottom border and our right border. But besides that, it should be something that you guys will pick up quickly if you just look at the code and try and figure out everything that's going on. So thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next tutorial. Have a good one.